is Ekon? Give us a wee bit of your background in the game.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I mean, I started at the I think it's the second that STFC landed in Australia, and basically, I don't know. I was just, oh, what is this? Let me just jump in and have a look. So I jumped on. Obviously, I loved it because I love Star Trek, and immediately I just saw, obviously this alliance called Hum and Hassan Martok, and then I was, this guy called Mukral, or I don't know how you pronounce it. We got off on the wrong foot. Ended up joining this other alliance, and pretty much straight away there was just conflict all the time because he kind of wanted me to join Hum, and I was like, nah, I like this, and now we're enemies. And ever since, I don't know why, but we started this whole spying business and all this kind of stuff. And
just to make it clear, there, your claim is that the reason why Mukral and Ekon had the conflict in the start is because you rejected him.
Yeah, he said you should join us. You should not join this other alliance called Sword. And it seems like such an innocent thing, right? Like, it's like, oh yeah, no, join this guy. No, I'm not going to join. But basically, what happened is I immediately just, I said to him, no, I don't. He was upset. I remember. I think I still got the screenshots. He was really upset that I didn't take his advice.
In fairness, though, right, we're going to get into spying and all of that in a wee minute, right?
Oh, yeah.
The certain people on our server are going to be glued to this. Like, if you start talking about spying, right? People outside of our server, some may have an idea of it, but generally speaking, when it comes to all of the shenanigans that goes on any server, and I've covered a few and talked to a few different people, right? Much of it can be the same, right? So it's just the way the game is, and that's the way people go on. But you were at this before most people knew that Star Trek Fleet Command existed.
Yeah, absolutely. So I dare say, I'm not trying to grow an ego here, but I dare say I've been at it the longest. And I will circle back to this, but basically over time, I realized I need to capture a lot of, as anyone pre-merger knows, in the original Foundation server, you need to screenshot everything, video everything, because it changes overnight, and it used to, and then suddenly you're stuck without any evidence. If you can't give support any evidence of something happening, then it essentially didn't exist. So a lot of us got used to really just screenshotting and just building up all this content. And that's how I got into content creation, is because I was like, man, I've got all these thousands of videos, all these things happening everywhere. In some sense, I kind of became desensitized to it all. Like, oh, there's all this cool stuff happening, and look what this guy did and what that guy did. And, oh, that's a cool move. And you recall your miner, get them when they get back to your base, all these kind of strategic things, but also a lot of the diplomacy kind of aside to it. So we've gone through our fair share of diplomacy, but what ended up happening is I kind of went down this path of, I don't even know exactly how it started, but I remember that we were in our Discord server as Sword Excalibur before the merger. This was like 2018 sometime. And we were like, man, there's someone on our server that I don't know who this guy is. I'm like, he's not in our alliance. Who invited him? I have no idea what's happening. And before we knew it, like, stuff in game was getting hit. Our miners were getting hit. Our bases were, just so easily found and hit. And I'm like, all right, because I know everyone's trying to do this ban and raid thing, but
and there was a wee moment. There was a wee moment after you posted that ban and raid video in my Discord. Where there was a bit of that banter started, and it was a couple of lads kind of took into you a wee bit, and there was a few people from other servers that were coming in with the popcorn, like, right? They wouldn't often get to see that kind of stuff because they're not on our servers, and I try to keep
I'm just really down. I've just been busy and stuff, and I just haven't been at it the same way that I normally am. But I could definitely,
Of course, But I generally
say that he got me, and I'd say, oh, I don't know.
Of course,
got to me.
and I try to keep that server specific stuff out of my Discord as much as possible normally.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what I looked at was like, well, here's a bunch of content creators, right? It doesn't matter the size of the channel. These people are making content. They're putting in their time and their effort. They have vast experience in the game, and and no shabby editing skills by a lot of them. Like, it may not be the most fascinating content in the world. We may not all have the silky voices to be able to woo everybody and then get them to, but at the end of the day, some of these guys from the founder server, at least, they put in a lot of time and effort into their editing. Like Pinky as well, Lost Pinky there, like, he puts in an awful amount of time in editing, and I'm sure you can appreciate that, having done videos and looking at what he's doing, even though he's getting his digs at us. You can appreciate what the man's done with his video,
I mean, it's no small thing to edit a video, right? So even the very basics editing, that is difficult enough, and I don't think enough content creators do it. And that's why I've been saying to you, and I'm more than happy to always say to all the content creators, yes, send it over, and I'm happy to help out where I can. Mostly because I think that we need to step up the quality, and I look at other games and other reviewers and other content creators of other places, and they're some of them are pretty damn good, So I kind of come back and think, man, we really need to pull our weight here and do what we can. So that's what I was hoping for, and one of the big pros of the content creator program is the ability to get some of the assets from the game assets. So like the original actual Photoshop PSD file of the Enterprise, for example. When I got that was really beneficial. You can take that out, you can create a different background, you can do whatever you want with it, and it's extremely beneficial. But most of the content creators, I don't think they deal with that kind of stuff, and they kind of want to get through a lot of, like, it's all about a repetitive thing. And I don't mean this as a stab at it, but money does factor in. The more subscribers, the more views, the more cash you get from it. I never went down that path. I just wanted high quality videos. It's I enjoy making them, but it is difficult to edit, create animations and renders. Takes time. You need the right hardware. Oh my god, you just go through. So I could definitely appreciate it, even if someone like Lost Pinky is just paying us out. So I totally get it. Obviously I say it's propaganda.
And this is
lies. They say the same.
Yeah, and this is something that I think I know a lot of servers have it, but we do have some long-term established characters on the founder server. I think we have I think everybody recognizes we have that slight edge, right? Like, I'm looking at your profile here on the game, and like, you're level 38. You're no slouch in this. Your stats, like, you have a 5.01 PvP kill death ratio. Like, that's way up compared to mine, for example. Your strength, like, your damage done, your other players, all of that. There, your rank on our server. You're not. You must be in around the top 10, are you?
It's all right, but there's obviously people that are much better. You look at someone like the top player in our server, Chargina. He's got 12 PvP kill death ratio, but people will always say that I'm the evil one of the server. So you look at someone who's doing twice as many PvP kills, or he's second in command, 13 or 14 PvP kill death ratio hilts, and you look at all these guys and you go, and you can see that they've got it down pat. The diplomacy, the spying, getting into other people's discords, all that kind of stuff comes back to benefit you, because you can then get a one-up on others. So they've done well in terms of your original question of who is Ekon. People on the server do see me as a kind of the villain, but if you look at the stats and the scores and everything else, you can see exactly what's happening there. The numbers speak for themselves. But beyond that, look, everything that's happened, the major stuff, Hive Mind, all that kind of stuff, somehow it touches Hum and Sword Alliance from back in the day. It's all come back to this. Most people don't realize that Nebhet or Setet or whatever, she's had many nicknames, but the creator of Hive Mind, them and us, we originally merged. We had merged alliances, and then some of that broke up just after the big merge, and we merged together, both of our alliances, and it didn't work out. And from that point on, we went into this massive war. And when they went into the Rogue Alliance, which I know are renowned for doing all the spying and stuff as well, things started to take a downturn, and she started complaining more. There were problems there, and suddenly Hive Mind shut down. So of course you can see that there's a lot of negativity there. And at the time, I was actually having my I had a newborn back in those days, so I didn't really have too much time to spend on that. I was just like jumping on, hitting things, and coming back out. But of course, I was blamed for a lot of that. I was specifically mentioned in her exit message.
You were
so
indeed.
You can see that there's a lot of history there.
Yeah, and without rehashing any of that, to be honest, I was never that interested in it, and it became dodgy enough ground to be taking the piss, which is kind of like what I prefer to do if I can in any of these situations. And people were so emotive in them times that taking the piss was dangerous territory. So I kind of avoided it a little bit and kind of got a little bit serious with it and just tried to advise people to look after their heads. People were getting too into it, and it was affecting. It was clearly affecting people's emotional states, at least, But anyway, listen, you're level 38. Some people will call you a whale. Like, are you a whale? You're not a whale, are you?
I'm not a whale. Like, if I've probably spent, and based on very reliable information, I think I've spent like a fifth or maybe even seventh of what the actual whales do.
And
the 10th. So.
Yeah, the terminology that's out there that's been used by some is a dolphin. Then you're probably a dolphin.
I can't even remember what a dolphin is. It'd probably be a dolphin.
What do you think?
Sure.
If server merges and all, or server transfers and all come in now, do you think we'll be able to compete, or will we lose pace with people? Like, there's a lot of people that's caught up on us in half the time that we've been playing. In another year, will we be left behind?
I think that's already happening. I mean, you have a look at all the other servers. There's so many whales out there. I don't know who we'll end up merging with, so that really is a massive question mark, right? But without saying too much, there's an update coming tonight. So we're talking right now, and in maybe 12 hours' time, there's going to be a massive update. Based on all the sources online and all the chatter and what everyone's talking about, and all of the changes we've just seen in game, like in the last week, where we can see the dark space path is like changed and the systems have changed. You can kind of see with the jellyfish recently and everything else that it's all gearing up for all the really high levels and the whales in the game. So I think it's all heading that way to basically make it an even more pay-to-win game. So we'll wait and see what happens, but I think it's just really hard for us to compete. Where we can make an impact is basically where I always saw the opportunity of the diplomacy, the spying, getting into other people's discords, understanding people a bit better, doing, I suppose, what you could call what you think is right in game, and on top of all that, the kind of like the I suppose you would call it the ability to kind of I don't know. I guess if you can if the systems change and the mining rates change and all that in time, I think then we will be able to compete. But if we can't, then I don't. I feel like I have a bit of an outlook, let's just say.
Okay.
And so that's okay.
My take on it, we
yeah.
probably need to come back and do another video on some of this other stuff at some stage. Particularly around the idea of like that content creation. I'd love to talk to you more about that, about the whole being in the content creator program with you. In the earlier days, there's a lot of new people joined it now. There's the likes of us has gone from it. Jansen and other people there used to be in it, are gone from it now. And I suppose that now you've got independent content creators and official content creaters, and there's a bit of a divide there, and
there's a massissive divide. We can definitely talk. I can definitely talk to it quite substantially, and then obviously there's some things I can't say, but I can say that there is an NDA that you are permitted to. You have to sign to basically get into the official one. That's one thing I can say. I don't think that's a secret. But once you do that and you do get into it, then there's other Discord servers and everything that you get into, and you know for sure that you're on the, let's say, official content creation program. I mean, look, there's so many independents now. There's so many people doing their own thing, but I mean, at the end of the day, I just didn't feel like they supported you right. I don't think the content creation program is nailed yet or anywhere close to it. So I don't think you're missing out on too much, but we can definitely talk to that in a separate kind of session.
Yeah. I want to get back to this idea. We've been going on about a fair few things there. I want to get back to this idea about spying. Some of what will attract people to this video is maybe they might get a few tips, and you are Master Whispers, so I thought who better than to give a couple of people we're not asking people to use any exploits, and we're not asking people or suggesting for 1 second that people break the terms of service of the game or any of this kind of stuff. We'll just be clear, like we're talking about the diplomacy and the wars and all of these things that happen on all the different servers, and the shenanigans that happen on other servers as well as ours. You've been at this a while. We've discussed before, different ones in panel has discussed it, and all the idea of giving alliances greater function so that you can create more chats within the game and rather than using Discord, and that would change the game fundamentally if it came to the whole intrigue side of it. The whole, alt accounts on Discord, for example. Like I got a message from a guy there earlier. We shout out to him. I don't know who he is. I get random messages sometimes. This guy's looking for help to find somebody. Automatically, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, is this Rog or somebody like that's yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's no it's no slight on that lad, but it's like for all I know that could be Ekon. You know, do you know what I mean? Like, right?
It was me.
But you know what I'm saying.
I hear you.
And there is that running joke on our server that every alt that you see is Ekon, right? Everybody acknowledges this. This has been a joke for a long, long time. It's to put it in perspective, I suppose, for people.
The funny story is that's actually how it started. So remember I mentioned before Mokral and original. He stopped playing now, obviously, but the way I found the spy in our Discord was I messaged almost everyone individually, separately, saying, don't repeat this to anyone, but we have a spy in our Discord. It's okay. I'm going to find them. I've got 12 accounts. And then I went to the next guy. Hey, man, don't tell anyone, blah, blah, blah. But, I've got 17 accounts. And then I had to go and effectively just start chatting to people that I know are our common enemies. Mukral was the first. And I was like, hey, man, you did this, blah, 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 whatever. You basically you poke him a little bit. And he was like, yeah, you and your 17 alt accounts. And I'm like, well, there it is. That's the guy. So I gave everyone a number, and he specifically mentioned that.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, to answer your question, look, the best position you can be in any kind of case is to have friends and people that are, I suppose, I don't know what you'd call it, like loyal to you or something, and in another alliance that you effectively made friends with, or you've got background with, or maybe you can give them something. Maybe you can say, look, man, I'm every so often I'm going to load up a ship and you can hit it, or whatever it might be, right? But that's the best way for you to effectively be getting intel and information about other alliances, right? So for quite some time, and I'm not going to say if it's still ongoing or not, someone would message me and say, hey, man, watch out. They know where your base is. They know where Amorgin's base is. They know where blah, blah, blah's base is. And this isn't me. It's not even an alt account. It's just someone inside another alliance going, hey, man, watch out. I'm online and such is being followed. Or they'd say, hey, they know about your armada. So I'm like, jump on our chat and say, heads up, everyone, because we know it's coming. You can kind of be ready, because a lot of times you see an armada being ambushed, which happens on our server a lot, and you just don't get the heads up enough in time or get everyone active to know that it's coming. Do you know what I mean? So the best one is a live active player in another alliance. Second to that is being in their Discord. So having someone else's Discord, I've got like, and I'm not going to deny this, I've got like at least 9 or 10 different Discord accounts. They just sit there, they compile stuff, and believe it or not, there's Discord exporter. So if you don't know about that, you can export Discord directly to HTML files. In fact, I can make them available to anyone who would like. I mean, that's not breaking any terms of service or anything. I'm just downloading the chat history from my own Discord. So basically, that is Discord server of the other enemy alliances or whatnot. And with that, you can prove or disprove things. So you could say, right, this alliance is actually working with that alliance, and they're that other alliance is killing all our miners whilst these guys are getting ahead in events. So that's how we know we've got the actual proof. But in saying that, people can still deny it and say you don't have the proof. And even when you provide it, they do this very Trump era kind of thing where they're like, no, that's just Photoshop, that's fake, it's fake news, and it's not happening, which I find absolutely hilarious. So so that's like that's where you kind of want to reach, right? Like if you're gonna get into that, the only reason I kind of did it is because my history is coming from a game called Game of Thrones Conquest, and that was that kind of thing was just rampant in that game. It's all you do. You're trying to get into other alliances, find their locations and all that kind of stuff. And in that game, it wasn't really against the terms of service. It was more that you just like people just had that, right? So people were just doing that everywhere. So yeah, I guess it just kind of flowed from there into this game where I'm like, well, the best thing I can do is spy on other alliances, find out what they're doing, get intel, make friends. Right now there's people inside our biggest enemy alliance, which is Rogue. We know for a fact they're working with another alliance called Khan, and I've got the proof for that. And but there's still people inside Rogue that are feeding me intel. So that's basically what you want. That's the ultimate.
Did you just admit that? I don't want I don't want to have to do much editing on this.
I don't see if there's any problem with that. I mean, hey, it goes to my advantage again as part of this discussion. It goes to my advantage if they know that there is a spy.
Is he telling the truth?
They're actually saying to me,
is he planting seeds of doubt in Rogue's mind? Is he?
Before you know it, they start kicking people left, right, and center, and and then they're like, oh. Cool.
Somebody is going to be sitting there thinking, okay, is Amorgin naive and being used by this evil, manipulative Ekon guy
my statement.
Get out and right? Or is Amorgin really complicit in all of the whole thing? And this is the hum propaganda team at their finest,
Oh no! That's okay. So that is one of the biggest disadvantages as well. No one wants to believe anything you say at the end of it. Yeah. But like to this day, people are still saying like, it's just. I mean, I still insist that like 99.999 recurring % of the time I am telling the truth, but people don't want to believe that. Yeah. Most people say you got a free enterprise. I'm like, I did not get a free enterprise. You know how many resources it takes? Do you really think Scopely is going to give you a free enterprise? They're not. So that kind of stuff is happening everywhere.
And especially for a guy like you who has spent money.
Alternate accounts. I'm like, 27 alternate accounts. How am I going to control 27 alternate accounts? No way. Yeah. So yeah. It goes on and on.
Yeah, right. So like that brings me actually. I wanna give a wee mention just to something. I've said it in other videos before when I've mentioned it in other videos. But you're the guy that everyone loves to hate, right? Our very first encounter was a row. Like we were, it was arguing with each other on global chat or Galaxy chat. Sorry. Yeah. And that was back in the days of Muckrell, like you were talking about, and Muckrell was telling me, basically he's an asshole or he's an idiot or whatever it was. Don't bother with him, right? And everything that we were saying to each other on Galaxy chat was just reinforcing what Muckrell had already said, right? And I was going, right, I'm not talking to this guy, like, that's going to do my head in, right?
Yeah.
Right? And we went through that period where Sword and Hum were at war and all of that there, and then the merger happened, different things changed and all of that, and then we got to know each other and we got talking, and the whole content creation thing became a thing, and we were in the content creators program together and whatever else. And we've had a few sparks since, we're not afraid to say it as it is, but that's part of the beauty, I think, of being in Hum, that people have the freedom to have a bad day and say, screw you, you're a wanker,
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
That's what it's all about. That's what I love about it so much. But we're bitter enemies, and now we're all friends.
Yeah, right.
We're in the same alliance as well. So
and nobody said fuck Sword in a long, long time. That's probably a good thing,
they
right?
say it, but I'd like to think it's 2 parts sarcasm and 1 part truth.
Yeah. So I suppose there's a lot of them guys out there that might be a bit sore. Some of them will be listening to this, I'd imagine, and I'm testament to the fact that we can get on in game and in real life and still have our moments and all of that. It's not the biggest deal in the world when it happens in game. That's why I would have made videos in the past and said people need to look after their heads a wee bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah. At the end of the day, if it's affecting you that badly, you really, really just pop a 7-day shield on, 30-day, whatever you can.
Yeah.
And just
you did take a bit of a break yourself one time. You did go. You dropped off the pace. You were in high numbers at one time, and you kind of dropped off the pace a wee bit. You were away from the game a wee bit, were you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I left for probably I'd probably say it was still like a month and a half, 2 months or something like that. I'm kind of still just coming back from it now. I'm not way neck deep in it.
Yeah.
I tried to leave some time ago as well. Exactly the same time that Nebhet. I actually made her admiral of our alliance. So, people don't realize how close a tie that we were. And then what effectively happened was, I'm not exactly sure what happened internally, but I left. I kind of just popped a shield on and walked away. Before you know it, there was someone messaged me on Discord saying, "Hey man, you're admiral again, so jump back in, please." And I was like, "What happened?" So something happened there, and that's how I got drawn in. I had actually called it quits. I'm like, "Oh man, I'm so bitter after the merge and losing all these assets and things." I was like, "No, I'm out of here." But just somehow got roped back into it.
Yeah.
Can't really get out.
That's it. And I think anybody on our server, there's maybe 300 people, would that be right? Something like that.
That's what we believe, active players. That's what we think.
Which doesn't necessarily translate to active accounts, but
no.
I think we're down to our core, more or less. I think anybody who's likely to quit easy is gone already. There's a lot of we're the hardcore, and probably all of us would have remained the hardcore even if we had an active server. We'd just be lost in it, because there'd be so many others. And the fact we're down to that, I don't know. I like the idea that steel is tempered in a fire. You know what I mean. I like the idea that that. Even if it is that the thing that you on our server that you agree on with the people you're friendly with is we all hate Ekon, or we all hate Hum, or even if that's what even if that's the thing that binds you, that we have bonds that have been forged over a very long time in this game, and I think it would be a travesty if that gets threatened with any server mergers or anything like that. New blood in the server would be great. Let the server evolve. But I seen chat recently, for example, when I was talking about the third refine option being removed, somebody said something about are they going to get rid of the founder server? And it just gave me this panic attack nearly. I was like, that would probably be the end of the game for me, But
I don't think they're going to split us all up. I sure hope not. I think we'll... at the very least, I hope that they keep anyone that's in the alliance on whatever happens next. But from what I understand, the merge is just that. It's a merge where they inject two servers into one. So everyone from our server and everyone from another server end up on one single server that you are now all combined. So
do you not think it'll be transfers first?
I don't think transfers. I mean, at the very best of my understanding, transfers will just be for new starters or anyone below a certain level or something like that. I don't think they're going to open up. I mean, they might do a one-off. Anyone can transfer anytime they want. And then it'll be really interesting to see who actually decides to leave.
Yeah.
Like, I'm enough of this and I'm going.
Yeah.
But to the best of my understanding is Emerge is going to be much easier. A transfer would be absolute chaos. You could get a whale or someone that's level 39 go on a new server that only has the best level is 20 something, and suddenly they're
they could guard against that. They could take measures against that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I think that'll be harder to do. So because it's they've got a lot of servers. I don't know if 30, 40, 50 odd servers. So they would end up having a lot harder time with that than just saying, let's merge these two servers. They're quite similar crowds. It'll just dilute it a little bit. So I think just based on the repeated pattern in their MO, that's what I think that they're going to end up doing. I don't know when. I mean, like Armadas, we were waiting for time, and then when it hit, we're like, oh, guess it's okay. But so I don't know when that'll happen. But I'm guessing it'll be soon. I'm guessing. That's purely guessing. Really, I don't know anything more. I'm just guessing it'll be soon.
Yeah.
Around, it'll always be before or after Christmas sort of thing. Probably not before Christmas.
Yeah. Well, we're looking at this update tomorrow, like you say, this patch. I'll probably jump on and get a video on that. I need to get to bed soon to get up for that and all of that. But I don't know. Is there anything else you wanna say before? We'll have to come back and do that content creators video and stuff. Like there's a few.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah.
There's a few people there that we could talk about. How the game is from our point of view as a founder, but also as a content creator, and having been around this game longer than many of their employees. The perspective that gives us, as well as our experiences, like you say, you signed an NDA. We discussed contracts with this company. So and so we're familiar with their practices, and we there are some things we probably won't get into and can't in some cases, like yourself, but there are some things we can observe on in terms of customer service and different things
absolutely.
like that. There,
the biggest one being that they're everyone's saying you're not allowed to have alts, whereas every content creator that you see out there is using alternate accounts. They literally video it and show you. They speak about it. They tell you. So it's not rocket science here, guys. It's you see that happening. What do you think is happening? As
on my
content creator. So, I'm just saying,
I have an alt that I'm doing a tutorial on, and I'm up to level 17 now, and we shout out to the UNL guys. Another one of our home guys is in the same alliance with me on that server 157. So we shout out to them, and it's a different experience for me to be a low level. I took part in my first Armada there, no business being there, with a 13k Tala, you know what I mean, I'm getting Armada credits, not a lot now, but 30 or something, but I'm getting Armada credits, and I can't even access the Armada store in the shop in the Alliance store, you know what I mean. So it's a different, it's a different experience,
absolutely.
And that's related as well, I suppose, to all the whole spy and stuff, and but we couldn't recommend to somebody to work. It's hard anyway to get an alt account on the same server now, but I suppose it's possible.
So I don't think you can actually.
For us, I'm talking for others though. It's possible, but I wouldn't say I wouldn't be recommending it to anybody, just in case they could get into a bit of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, So at the same time, it's very hard. You could be living in a share house and people are, creating an account. Hey, cool, man, play this game with me, and jump on the same server, and they don't, or they do. So it could be so many situations. So it's hard for them to actually, come out and kind of ban it. That would probably be disastrous. So, it's hard. So they can only say that it's not permitted. But again, content creators are literally showing you and telling you that it's there, which means that at some point you can only guess from that without having any kind of evidence. You can only guess that it's been sanctioned. So that's just one example of something that we could talk more about in another content creator video. But ultimately, I think this is my first interview. I haven't really talked to anyone. I think we've been to do it for such a long time, and I just wanted to get out there and just I don't know, just
and I suppose
there's not much to it. I mean, people try to sabotage everyone's alliance inside our server and things like that. Might be true, might not be, but
well, it's a wee bit of a Christmas present from Hum to Rog in particular, and Can, and everybody on the founder server. But we Christmas present everybody to get Amorgin and Ekon together and have a wee bit of a chat and talk over things. I suppose we'll take this opportunity as well to tell people to like and subscribe to Ekon's channel. He does some great Star Trek Fleet Command videos.
More coming soon as well. I've got so many in the making that I just don't finish a lot of them off. I should probably just finish off and just spam out there with a lot of videos.
Probably. Likewise, I should, and I might put this out a bit on the raw side without too much editing in it. I don't think we said anything too bold or crazy. But I'll leave a link below to your channel, Ekon, and hopefully people will check it out. I suppose to say as well, we're living proof that you can have your clashes in game and get a bit heated, but it can all be fun and games and be friendly then when it comes down to outside the game. So
it is much harder to hit anyone in game if you're friends outside the game. So there's quite a few people around that are like, just can't hit that person. Like it
works the opposite sometimes as well. So you do get them people who just want to hit you because there's a chance that you might be recording this.
That is true as well.
Or I seen your last video and I didn't like it, so I'm just gonna hit your base just to let you know. I got a message. Exactly. I got a message from Chirulo the other day, and he was a shout out to him, and I was like, he was like, I don't like your videos. It's like, right.
He said that.
I don't know.
That's why you were asking.
I don't know if he was. I don't know if he was having a laugh or what the story is. We didn't get into a big conversation because I kind of took the piss out of him a wee bit. But random hit from somebody I wasn't expecting. It was like, I don't like your videos.
But I mean, look, at the end of the day, the spying, the discords, the mind games, all that kind of stuff, it does work in your benefit most of the time. But Trullo is a living example of that because I used to hit him all the time. And then at some point, I decided to take out everyone in the system except him. And people just started to look at him, and go, what the hell's happening? The same thing happened to others, that I just focus people, wherever they are, I make sure that I never hit them. And before you know it, they get kicked. So it's like you can just tell, and anyone's Discord that I do have access to, I jump in there and they're like, oh man, this guy hasn't been, something weird's happening here, and people start suspecting people and blaming people and pointing fingers before you know it. So another admission is the last war we had was with one of the alliances called Borg, and they thought that we're just gonna get in there and have a big war, and really it was for us to try to understand who's on the side of doing what's right versus I suppose we have our own way of truth, right? Everyone's we believe propaganda happening out there, and we're trying to just get things, we're trying to spread out, I've got proof of stuff, but people don't want to believe it, so I'm just trying to spread that all the time, right? But really what happened is we ended up getting a lot of their members. They just came right over because we were just out there saying, hey guys, we don't believe in this and we want to stop it, and this is happening with Rog and this is happening with Khan, and now they're getting hit by them as well, and there's all these things happening, right? So really, it's more about us going, hey, we just climbed to the top of the server. Why do you think that is? And what's actually happening in the background? Why are you losing members? What is it that's actually happening? We're probably not the strongest in terms of every individual, but we managed somehow to disassemble a lot of other alliances and get the active players that want to work as a team, that want to understand, that want to read into the truth, that they want me to share screenshots with them, they want me to share all that, they want to understand a bit more on what's happening. I'm always open to that, always happy to do that and have those chats. And ultimately, again, we filled up our ranks, and there you go. So it's, there's everything's at some point or another has some kind of strategic advantage or a point to it. Even when I argue out there with Triple H, or having
come here and tell
someone,
me, come here and tell me, do you stand in the mirror, right, at night time when you're going to bed and say to yourself, you know what, if I had joined ROG, it would be Hum we would have beaten by now? do you
oh man, it was so close as well, wasn't it?
Do you pat yourself on the back for being like a catalyst there, or anything like?
I have no idea. I mean, they are. Oh man, I don't know how to answer that or even how to approach that. That's we were the absolute best friends with who is now our most bitter enemy. ROG and Sword were absolute best friends. At some point, someone did something to prove to them that we're actually trying to hit their miners from another alliance or something. Someone said something. I don't know what it is, and to this day, I still feel betrayed, because they just woke up one day and just went to war with us and hit everything of ours and just declared us bitter enemies, wouldn't talk to us or anything. And we were just such good friends, even on Discord and stuff. The same people just said, we're not talking to you, you're the devil. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, we're just a game, guys. Let's still chat. It's not a problem. There is a social element to this.
Yeah.
So at some point, something happened. They blamed us for it, and it's all gone downhill from there. And it ultimately led us to join Hum, and because we kind of saw the what's really happening. What you guys were talking about was effectively the truth of what's happening, and it took me a lot of work to via all the discords to actually get to the bottom of.
Was it? I want to wrap up very shortly, because we could talk. All night.
Yes.
But was it a bit of a surreal thing joining Hum? I didn't think it would happen as quick as it did. I think they ROG nearly taken over the server. I think it escalated everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, it did. They tried to take. They became the new. What did we call them? Alphabet. So they had ROG S, ROG Z.
Yeah.
And so we said, hey, you can't just take every alliance. I think someone needs to stop this, because ultimately what they were going to do is just weed out anyone who doesn't agree with what.
And that must be a difficult morale blow. Like they were so dominant in terms of personnel, everything. Like they were like China, They I hope my YouTube video doesn't get banned now because I said that.
It's not available in China. Yeah.
But they were a powerhouse, when it came to all of that. And
absolutely.
It backfired,
Yeah. Now, if you click on the license tab, it's all just hum.
Yeah,
pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Power destroyed, power rated, everything is us. I'm okay with that. But that's it's taken a lot of work. I mean, we're always working in the background. I'm always chatting to our admiral and everyone else, Phil, and the others, and always trying to make sure things align in a particular way, which takes a lot of work. So I dare say that sometimes we spend minimal time in game and a lot of time just chatting and getting things aligned in a certain way. It's it must be a blow for them. I hope it is, because they do have basically the 1% of their alliance carrying the whole team. Whenever a team event comes on, we always win that. But when they have something where the top guys can just buy their way through the event,
well, I tell you, they're quite effective. This whole thing that is being pushed, like that. The whole server doesn't like Hum and all of that, which is nonsense. Like, but
They say that.
They've been quite effective in that regard.
The same people say that over and over.
Yeah, but they've been quite effective in keeping us from the top in terms of the Armadas event.
Yeah.
Like, we're not top. We're not top of that. Like.
Yeah, but you only need, like, if you have a look at the top person, which is Chargina and Hilton and all that, because he has such a powerful enterprise and they can take on bigger armadas, they get more points. So the game always scales to those with the stronger ships, the stronger wallet, I suppose you could call it. I'm not trying to have a stab at it, but that's just the truth of it. So
Borg are number 2.
Sorry, say again?
Borg are number 2.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they just add it over and over again. Yeah, I'm kind of watching that as well. But if you have a look at the fact that ROG is twice their score, that tells you a lot. And when you look at the individuals that are, making that score, it's mostly, again, the top tier of people scoring it for the rest of the alliance. And you can just go to the single to have a look at the individuals. So Chargina and Hiltz and Mickey, all the level 38, 39s, 4 of them in particular, they've essentially scored all the points, right? So they go and they hit the alliances over and over again, the armadas, sorry, and they get the points. But when you look at, below that, you can see that Borg are actually doing a bloody good job at all of them unitedly, attacking armadas. So, we're kind of doing that. I don't know if we never really went after the armadas all that heavily. Like, I don't feel like I've really been active in it at all. I'm kind of just going if someone tells me to. But yeah, I just didn't think the payout was that great. But yeah, that's just me. Still there?
Oh yeah, I'm just checking out. Checking out some of these. The top 3 alliances are a right bit out ahead of the other ones, like RPH. Their top 10 are right bit behind the top 10 of ROG, Borg, and ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not, like, I don't think we're not putting in everything, and at the same time, there is an armada war happening. So the reason that Borg is staying out of it is because ROG aren't currently fighting Borg. So of course, when there is a Borg thing on, I haven't always gone after their armadas. I'm always on the fence on whether to hit them or not with Borg. So it's just like, which side of the bed did you get out of today? Yeah, I'm going to hit them. Yeah, I'm going to go for it. Oh, look, there's some guy with overprotected of like 22k of G3 crystal. Maybe I'll hit that. So, things like that happen. But I don't think we've really been, after, the heavy hits of armadas that much. But anyway, that's probably more of an opinion.
Yeah. I'm going to wrap it up, Ekon. It's getting late here and I need to get to sleep for this update tomorrow. Listen, thanks for joining me. We'll come back and do this at some other stage. Don't forget.
Absolutely, no, appreciate it.
Yeah, don't forget to check out Ekon's channel, guys. And I'm going to go to sleep and look after yourselves. And thanks for listening to both myself and Ekon. Cheers.
Excellent. Thanks, Amorgin.